Hi everybody, it's Anne-Marie here, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about people pleasing, how we do that, how it originated, how we enact it in our lives, how it depletes us, and how we just completely lose ourselves. And it's one of those topics that really it isn't black and white. We all have varying degrees of people pleasing. Some of us are in the full-blown acting out of that, and others have mild tendencies. But either way, what I've discovered is that when we are people pleasing, we aren't being true to ourselves, and ultimately we are seeking validation and love from a source outside of ourselves. And so people pleasing stems for most of us in our formative years. Our upbringing, our parents, our caregivers, society, family, school, etc. They all shape us inevitably. However, one of the things that happens to us as we're growing up and how we become a people pleaser is because we don't necessarily feel safe or not able to be our true self and express our needs and our wants in a way that will be heard. And therefore we learn to walk on eggshells instead. We learn to try and get approval, acceptance and love from the people we love in ways that aren't healthy. And of course it's completely unconscious. We don't know it's happening. There's no blame on our caregivers. They were doing the best they could with their set of circumstances, and these behaviours just get handed down the generations quite often. But the good news is that when we are aware of that and we start to wake up ourselves and we see these traits and these behaviours, that we get to choose how to be in the world and to change and come back to being our true self. And of course, when we're a people pleaser, we don't know who that is because we quite often morph into different people in different scenarios and different situations. That was something that I certainly did, and I had no awareness that I was doing that at the time, and I thought it was normal. And so in certain situations and environments, I would put a persona, a mask on, and behave in a certain way to get approval, to feel I was good enough, you know. And so inside what's happening is there's this child screaming for love, like me, approve of me. What do I need to do for you to do that so you will love me and approve of me? And ultimately it's not anybody else's job to do that. But when we're unaware of this behaviour, this is, as I say, something that we just start to do. And quite often what happens is we get exhausted because we're a different person in different situations. And this identity that we're wearing and is just completely out of alignment. And so to fill our own cup up first and to learn to self-love and to self-soothe and to realize that we are already whole, we are already perfect, we are already beautiful and innocent, and actually there's nothing for us to prove to anybody. So that's the undoing of these masks and personas that we wear when we are people pleasing. And so part of the journey is learning to say yes to ourselves instead of to everybody else. And this can be a really big trigger for those of you who are or have been taught, you know, that to be a good person you have to be kind to everybody and step up to the plate for every person and help out in every different situation and scenario. Quite often what happens is we say yes without even checking in with ourselves and thinking, is this truly what I feel my heart wants to do or to give? But because we're so used to being the people pleaser, we just do it without any conscious connection. And quite often then what happens is underneath there's this bubbling, seething pot of resentment and victimhood. And very, very subconscious, but there was always this, I remember reading once somewhere that quite often as a people pleaser, you can tell them because they do a lot of tutting and a lot of sighing. Because it's like that, as they're doing something, it's, oh God, I've got to do this. And there's, oh, me again. And there's all this kind of underlying angst that's going on. So it's not, what you're doing isn't from pure joy. It's from, as I say, trying to look a certain way and get this validation as a good person, a kind person. And you can be a kind, good person, but have a boundary. And if something isn't true for you and you don't genuinely want to do what's being asked for you, or you have to keep giving because you feel you have to, you can say no. And what's so fascinating is in that no, there doesn't have to be a justification and an explanation. And that's the biggie for me when I first started to learn this new behaviour. I felt I had to justify my no and explain it away, like this timid little child. But as I grew in strength and I started to fill my own cup up and to validate myself and tune into the God of my understanding, the infinite source of love, my cup was full. And so when I gave, or when I wanted to support somebody or give my time or my energy in whatever way that was, it was coming from a truth, a genuine desire to give. And it was in alignment, and it was clear and clean, without any taking score, as in, oh, well, I've done this for them, now they owe me. Or, oh yeah, I've got some brownie points there, look at me. And it's so subtle. But when you're giving from a full cup and you're giving because it's true for you, you just give love and you don't have any expectancy or anything, you don't expect anything back. It's clean. It's a giving. And so it's a clear yes. And equally, when something just really doesn't feel right for us, it's okay to say no. A clean, clear no. And I remember the first time I did that, I think it was over the phone, and I remember just saying no. And there was just this silence, and part of me was desperate to fill the silence. But I didn't. And then the conversation moved on. As I say, I can't remember the details, but it was like, oh, wow, that's how you do it. It was quite a revelation, and it felt really empowering. And there was a little bit of afterburn. You get this quite often when you change your behaviours and your new ways. But this is being very kind and gentle to ourselves as we're learning this new way, this new behaviour. And I remember a time when I voiced an opinion about something where normally I would have just put a lid on it, been the quiet, good girl, to please everybody, to appease everybody. And I remember sharing, again, I can't think of the details, but something with a boyfriend at the time. And after I'd done that, I literally felt physically sick because of this new behaviour of actually voicing something that I daren't have done before. And I just ran up to the loo and I sat on the loo and I just thought, oh my God, what have I done? I felt sick. I thought, oh my God, that's it. He won't want to be with me. You think I'm a complete idiot, a complete bonkers, and all this scenarios and drama was going on in my head. And eventually when I went back down and sat down to talk to him, there was nothing. He wasn't fazed one iota. And I was like, again, I thought, wow. So it's okay, I can do it. And there were no repercussions. And so I started to build my muscle of strength in being able to speak my truth and to say no, a genuine, heartfelt no, and a genuine yes when it was a genuine yes. And it really showed me that, this is what healthy behaviour is, healthy relationships are. And my heart was craving that. So it was fabulous to be able to start to practice this new behaviour. So in people pleasing, it's about just being really gentle with ourselves as we start to notice our behaviours and to start to tune in to what is it my heart desires here. Am I doing this from a place of trying to get approval or to look good or to be seen as the helpful one or the one that's always can be relied on? Or am I doing this because it's true for me? And as I say, it doesn't mean that you don't want to be there for people and support people and help. But when you do it, it's an absolute authentic yes. And then, as I say, it's completely clean. Everybody knows where they are. You know where you are. And there's none of this kind of walking on eggshells and wondering about the repercussions. And it's like the strength grows in you as you become the healthy adult in a way. Because when we're in people pleasing, there's that inner child part of us playing out, playing small, inferior or timid. Or equally, it can go the other way. It can be really in your face, very loud, quite violent in its expression. But either way, there's that wounded part of you seeking love, seeking validation. So my suggestions are, if you're resonating with this people pleasing, to just sit down and just notice where you wear a mask or where you hide or where you become somebody else with other people or in certain situations. One of the biggies for me was with people I deemed to be, what's the term? Like people that I felt were superior to me, like doctors, bank managers, businessmen, very educated people. I felt small, I felt inadequate. So I would become this small child, looking up at them, thinking, wow, they're better than me. Just be quiet, Anne-Marie. Don't give an opinion. Don't share your views. And I didn't even know what my opinions and views were a lot of the time, because I just morphed into what everybody else's opinions were. And so I was seeing that people-pleasing playing out in that particular set of people, as well as close family as well, definitely. So just start to write down where you notice you wear the mask and you become small or inferior or wanting to be validated and people please. And then I would suggest you just start to notice, what is it you do? How do you speak? How do you become? Notice how your body is. Do you feel yourself shrinking? Do you see yourself trying to make everything better? Or can you notice that to be an equal, you can be truly authentic and present and breathe and decide, what is it I need in this situation? What do I wish to share? So to start with, I think just journaling and writing down what you notice about it, and being really, really kind to yourself and not judging yourself, and certainly not blaming yourself or other people. No one is to blame here. It's just a habit that you've picked up, but you can change. And then as you start to notice how you people please, what I found really, really helpful is to start to maybe do a little bit of role play with yourself. So you can imagine what you would say instead. What would be true for you? Notice that if you took a breath and then tuned into your heart, what would you speak? And sometimes to also practice and rehearse saying no. And that's not true for me, or I'm not feeling that at the moment, but thank you. So you start to get a little list of things that maybe you could say instead, or that would be more in alignment with your truth and your heart. And then you can start to practice it very, very gently. And also to be really honest, so that, you know, somebody you really trust, a dear friend or a family member or somebody at work or whoever it is that you know really loves you and isn't going to belittle you or put you down. What can be helpful is just to say, do you know what, I'm learning some behaviours, some new ways of being, and I'm just learning that, and it's still quite new for me and still quite difficult. And so I just want to be really honest with you that I've noticed this is how I behave sometimes, or I have difficulty in saying no, or I overcompensate in certain situations. And as I'm changing, I just want to be really authentic with you, and I'd appreciate your support with that. And if you then feel that you want to ask for feedback or some suggestions or some insights from the other person, then feel free to ask. But also it's okay to say no, because that's part of our learning. And so, but it's this practicing and this willingness, and ultimately to tune in to your heart and to the God of your understanding, to a higher power, to a divine, benevolent universe. Whatever that is for you, it may be an angel, Jesus, Buddha, infinite intelligence, because when we're truly aligned to that, that's what will guide us and help us to speak our truth. And so therefore we don't have to do it on our own, which can be really reassuring. We can call on this energy of love to support us. And to know that, yeah, there can be some afterburn when you change your behaviours. Like I experienced that time, it felt very overwhelming when I first started to express, but just be kind to yourself, look after yourself and be gentle and reassuring. And that you don't have to get it right. Because one of the things that we can be is very, a perfectionist as well. It's got to be just right. It doesn't. Let yourself off the hook. There is no perfectionism. You're just doing your best. And actually what I've seen, friends, is that when we can be authentic like that, it's actually really beautiful to witness. You don't do it to get something back from another. Again, it's just your gentle self, it's your natural self. And just being honest that you're finding this difficult and it's new for you. And that somehow there's a meeting place between two people then. So that's the main things I just wanted to talk to you about people pleasing. just, get in touch if you'd like more information. There's plenty of, information out there if you need extra help. But just trust that it's a process, and that you are loved, and that you are whole inside. And that's what the world wants to see. And when you turn up as your glorious, beautiful self, you're giving a gift. You're giving a gift of yourself. And what more could you do than that? So have fun with it. Be brave and be gentle and be kind to yourself. And sending lots of love.